Bodie,
Here.
Cacciatore,
Here.
Carberry Montgomery,
Here.
Kroll, Rosendahl.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'm going to try the civility statement a little bit more. It says character count statement, but we're experimenting with a different statement that we begin our meeting with. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we pause to orient ourselves to the kind of civic life we are here to practice. Civility, as we understand it, is not politeness, etiquette, or agreement. It's an inner disposition rooted in recognizing the equal human dignity of every person present, including those with whom we sharply disagree. Each of us is responsible for how we speak, how we listen, and how we conduct ourselves. We're not responsible for controlling one another's views, reactions, or conclusions. This space belongs to all of us. We will speak honestly, refrain from demeaning or coercing one another, and remain present even when the conversation is difficult. By holding one another in view as persons rather than obstacles, we sustain the trust that makes shared civic life possible in Urbandale tonight and beyond. All right, with that, I ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 3, presentations. We do have 2 presentations tonight. First is the Gallagher Benefits and Strategy Mid-Size Employer Best in Class Award. And to introduce this, I'm going to turn over to our HR Director, Erin Freeman. Erin.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm actually just here to introduce Matthew Clemmy. He is our employee benefits consultant from Gallagher Benefit Services, here to present an award that the city received for participation in a survey that they conduct that's nationwide, and he can explain a little bit more about it, but just wanted the opportunity to get in front of you and use this as a way on behalf of the leadership team and the employees to thank you all for the support of the phenomenal employee benefits that we get to offer. Matthew?
Thank you, Erin. Good evening, everybody. My name is Matthew Clemmy. I've been working with the city for the past 5 years, specifically with Erin, Beth, and Nikki on the team. And I just want to recognize that this is an honor to be here tonight to be able to present to you this award. Just to give you some background on the award, it was done in completion of over 4,000 employers nationally. Of the 4,000 employers nationally, there was 550 that were named best in class, which puts you as the city in the top 15%. We also had 250 public entities that completed the survey last year. So it's a very, very substantial honor and recognition for you all. And I think that goes to show the commitment that you all put into your benefits. If there's one parting message that I have, I think you're going to see some rocky times ahead, specifically as it relates to insurance. But the most important part is you as a council have always made the determination to always take care of your employees. And you've done that through premium. You've also done that through plan design. So I can't thank you enough for that.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, we would.
Yeah. Clap for ourselves.
To the you.
Next, we have a proclamation for Engineering Week. Whereas National Engineers Week is observed each year to celebrate the contributions of engineers, recognize the impact of engineering on our quality of life, and inspire the next generation of innovators and problem solvers. And whereas National Engineers Week 2026 theme Transform Your Future highlights how engineering shapes sustainable communities, drives responsible growth, and empowers future generations to address complex challenges through creativity, science, and technology. Whereas Engineers Week brings together students, educators, industry professionals, and community leaders to promote science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, education, and careers to build, to build a diverse and skilled workforce capable of designing solutions that balance economic vitality, environmental stewardship, and long-term resilience. And whereas the City of Urbandale values innovation, resilient public services, sustainability, and responsible growth. And whereas the City of Urbandale relies on the expertise of engineers in both the public and the private sector to plan, design, and maintain infrastructure and development that support environmental responsibility, efficient use of resources, and a high quality of life for current and future residents. So now therefore I, Robert Andoig, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, do hereby proclaim February 22 to 28, 2026 as National Engineers Week in the City of Urbandale, and encourage residents to recognize the contributions of engineers and support efforts that inspire innovation, sustainability, and interest in engineering careers. And to accept this, I think Dustin Creech from our engineering staff is here. Dustin? I don't know. Come on, camera. Say a few words.
Yes, that would be great, as a matter of fact. Just my sincerest thanks to you, Mr. Mayor, and also council members for just recognizing Engineers Week, and then the hard work that we do on behalf of the city and the public itself. Thank you again also for fostering a innovative, friendly place to work, because again, we just love to bring our great ideas and innovations to the city and just, you know, continue to make Urbandale a wonderful place to be. So thank you all very much. We appreciate it.
Okay, next is Citizens Forum. This is the opportunity to address the council on something that's not a part of tonight's agenda. And I know we have at least two speakers. I'm going to recognize Bethany first. Bethany Snyder, if you can come up, please.
Hello, Mayor and City Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Again, my name is Bethany Snyder, and I serve as the chair of the Urbandale Civil Rights Commission. I'm also here as a constituent, a lesbian, the spouse of a transgender partner raising her family here in this community. I'm asking the City of Urbandale to formally register in opposition to HSB 2541, previously yesterday 664. This bill would prohibit cities and counties from adopting civil rights protections that go beyond the state law. For more than 60 years, Iowa municipalities have had the authority to strengthen protections with leaders determined it was necessary. That authority has allowed communities to respond thoughtfully to emerging needs and to reflect the values of the people who live here. HSB 2541 is not simply about one issue or one population. While much of the public conversation is centered on transgender Iowans, this bill is much broader. It would prevent any city from expanding civil rights protections for any protected class, now or in the future. It removes local control in an area where local leadership has historically played an important role. As chair of our Civil Rights Commission, I see firsthand the importance of trust in our local systems. Our residents need to know that if gaps emerge, our city has the authority to act. Stripping that authority away sends a message that local government cannot be responsive to its own community. As a constituent and parent, this is also personal to me. My family lives here. We pay taxes here. Our child goes to school here. We both own small businesses here. We are part of the fabric of this community. The ability of Urbandale to stand up and say that civil rights matter and that local government should retain the authority to protect its citizens and its residents matters deeply to us. I respectfully ask the City of Urbandale to officially register in opposition to HSB 2541 and to affirm the importance of local control and strong civil rights protections for all who call this community home. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Just for clarification, I think it's HF 25. I went from HSB 664
Okay.
to HF
25.
House File 2541. So I
Yes,
just want to make
yes,
sure
sorry.
everybody's clear. So,
2541.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure
Yes.
everybody's clear on that one first. So.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Crazy system.
So, exactly. Well, they changed bill numbers.
I know.
Thank you, Bethany, for your
Yeah.
comments. And
Yeah.
so I know I'm going to open up to the council for some comments here. Obviously, as we talked about before, we cannot take any
Right.
official action tonight on this, but I think now is the time appropriate at least to have some comments and consider some things, and maybe depending on what the consensus might be, is whether or not we put this on any future agenda. So I don't know.
And I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Okay. I don't know where, Joe, do you want to start?
Sure, yeah, I'd be glad to start. Thank you, Bethany. You know, my heartburn comes from the fact that the legislature is stripping out local control in a number of areas. And this is one of many, whether it's libraries, regulation of fireworks, or our civil rights code. We should be the ones to decide that for our local community. And we can have robust debate about whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, but we ought to be the ones to have that debate and to make that decision. So my view is that we should register against and you know, assert our right to have local control.
I agree.
Same.
Same.
Okay.
Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, I'd appreciate it being on the agenda so that we can formally consider it.
Timing wise,
Well, where we are right now, it's past subcommittee and past the full committee. So it's eligible for, it's funnel proof, it's eligible for floor debate on the House side. So that's where it is right now. It has not been set for floor debate. That can happen very quickly, it can happen overnight. There's no companion bill in the Senate right now, so that at least is somewhat promising, is there's at least not a companion bill there that I'm aware of. I don't think there is
No,
one.
there will.
So, but in any event, you know, funnel is Friday. It's past the full committee, so it's funnel proof. So the House would have to take it up and get it passed out of the House side before the second funnel. So that's where it is right now. It could happen very quickly, or it can, you know, not happen at all, or, you know, we get a little bit of notice. But once it does take it up, it probably won't be much notice in any event. So.
In the spirit of that, if we're kind of trying to decide taking, or like what we would kind of take up in a future meeting, I think it may be worth having that discussion pointed in such a way that it's open to companion bills or where it goes on the other side of the legislature too, and not just like focus specifically on like this bill in particular. Because then I think if we say like this is the principle that we want to point toward with that legislation period, that allows us to maybe as a position on council take that position, and then we're a little bit more nimble in the case that legislature moves quicker in one way or another and we're between meetings. I don't know.
The other way and David and I were talking about this too, the other way to approach this would maybe be to write a letter actually expressing some thoughts. Or, you know, what Bethany is suggesting is, you know, certainly it does say that we are opposed to it by registering against it, and that you know, but that's all it is. There's no opportunity to file. There was an opportunity at the subcommittee, and actually I did that as an individual. I filed comments at the subcommittee level, and you could have filed them also at the committee level as well, but there's no opportunity to file written comments anymore. But we can craft some correspondence that we could send to legislators or to key legislators that would substantively describe what our collective thoughts are on this as well. That may be a way to do it as well. So.
Yeah.
and is that something we can do before open meeting or before this is on the agenda, or what's the process look like for that?
It would have to be on an open meeting to, you know, to essentially ratify we could come up with a draft of something, but it would have to be approved at an open meeting, so.
So we'll have it on the agenda on March 3rd.
Or possibly sooner if we have.
I mean, if this is something that of importance to the council, I guess, we do have one matter that we need to have a call meeting on. And so that could happen in the next week, and that's something we could do. Could bring forward some information on the different approaches to, because, you know, typically when you register for or against a bill, I mean, you typically have a lobbyist that's doing that on your behalf. So it's, that's something we would need to talk through as far as mechanically what that looks like and what procedurally we need to do. But certainly putting a letter together that could be ratified by the council could be something that wouldn't take very long if that's something that the council wanted us to do.
Yeah, and wouldn't the way the lobbyist would register on our behalf against the bill, wouldn't that be a directive from the council?
But we don't have, we're a member of the Metro Coalition. We do not have a direct lobbyist, unlike some other cities
Okay.
registered against us. So we don't have anybody directly for the city of Urbandale as a registered lobbyist.
I gotcha. Okay.
Joe did mention libraries, and I'm particularly concerned also about, I know there was a subcommittee meeting today, and they're trying to remove authority from the library boards and maybe give them to city councils. I don't know. I'm very concerned about what's going on with libraries too. I think it's also a direct assault on local control. So I don't know if there's a way we can work that into, but I know we're lucky that our library staff is heavily engaged with the state on that. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm asking for on the libraries, but I think it is also something that is of significant importance for us.
Well, if we've got another meeting coming up, we should probably put all these things on the agenda, huh?
And perhaps if there's a conversation around a process for, 'cause these won't be the only things.
Right.
We can have that discussion
Yeah.
on, we need to have that discussion on process too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know that Bethany and Jane Robinette have been at the State House advocating for these things, members of our Civil Rights Commission. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Just want to mention that.
Thank you.
And with that, I'm going to recognize Jane next, 'cause I think she wanted to talk too. So Jane, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for the previous conversation and for all you do. I'm also a member of the Civil Rights Commission, and I applaud you for moving forward with what Bethany had to say. But I also wanted to address another issue. I also wanted to thank you for continuing the conversation about automated license plate readers, or ALPRs. As you might have heard, recently the city of Coralville received a letter from the state attorney general warning that the city was violating state law by prohibiting the use of ALPR data for immigration enforcement. Although the state and city apparently have since sorted that out, it has led some members of the city council there to reconsider their city's ALPR contract. We have all seen the devastating actions and abuses by ICE and Border Patrol agents, especially in our neighboring states of Minnesota and Illinois. I would hate to see Urbandale's cameras contribute to that database that these agents could access for their immigration enforcement activities. Hopefully, we'll get some basic ALPR regulations passed this year in the State House that will begin to address other privacy concerns. I think we all want safety and security for our residents, for all of our residents, but absent the ability to prohibit data use for immigration enforcement, I believe Urbandale needs to reconsider its contract for license plate readers. I urge you to have open discussions on these matters and soon, and to continue to ask the hard questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jane. Is there anyone else like to address the council on something that's not a part of tonight's agenda? All right, seeing none, then we will move on. Item 5 is the adoption of minutes, first from the February 3 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And then item 5.2 is to consider the minutes from the February 7 budget work session.
So moved.
Motion by Cacciatore,
Second?
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 6 is the consent agenda, and we have a whopping 28 items to approve on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Kroll, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Moving on to public hearings, we'll open up the first public hearing, and that's item 7.1 as a public hearing to consider the sanitary sewer easement vacation for the Timberline Knapp LLC The case is at 13600 block of Aurora Avenue. The public notice for this was published in the February 6, 2026 Des Moines Register. Ask any objections to that. Notice is published.
There were none.
Ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
So move.
By Bodie,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. And that passes. And to introduce this is our Director of Community Development, Rose Schroeder. Rose, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. This is a request to vacate an existing sanitary sewer easement. We're at Aurora and 138th Street-ish. The Des Moines Christian property is just on the north side of Aurora Avenue here. This was an easement that was acquired at the time for this original sanitary sewer project. At the time, the owner did request that the alignment change. And so it does not show it on this map only because the timing of the recording with our map update, but we do in fact have the appropriate easement in place over where the line was installed, and so this is simply a request to vacate the easement we had previously acquired. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Rose. Any questions for Rose before we open this up? All right, seeing none, then we are in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. There are two items for consideration.
Motion to approve resolution 069-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 2026-16.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 7.2 is a public hearing to consider the conveyance of property and development agreement with the Enclave Apartments LLC for 10841 Douglas Avenue. The public notice for this was also published in the February 6, 2026 Des Moines Register. Ask any objections to that. Notice is published.
There were none.
Ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
So move.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And introduces is our Assistant City Manager, Curtis Brown. Curtis?
Very good. Thank you, Mayor and council members. Walk you through a brief overview tonight on this development agreement. This is the next step after the letter of intent that was approved last fall, setting the public hearing at the last council meeting, and now bringing this forward for consideration of the development agreement and then the transfer of property to Volker, now working on the project that is called Enclave Apartments at 10841 Douglas, the old Econo Lodge site. So just to recap some of the goals of the project, when we initially went out to the market for the RFP, we wanted a successful project delivered on time and meeting our minimum criteria, which were to serve households at or below 60% AMI with 2 and 3 bedroom units and providing at least 20 years of affordability. After we received 7 proposals, staff went through and ultimately selected Volker Development as providing the best value measured in several different ways ultimately to the city. In our development agreement that's before you for consideration tonight, here are some key points. Number one, that Volker commits to applying for the low-income housing tax credit through the Iowa Finance Authority, and that is coming up in mid-March here. Then, if awarded, they'll construct approximately 50 units, but no less than 7 and possibly up to 60. So as they're working on fine-tuning the ultimate plan, that number could rise up to 60, but in no event would it be less than 47. Volker will also acquire the city property for $750,000. They'll commit to investing more than $16 million in the property and provide that mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units with at least 25% of them being 85% being 2 and 3 bedroom units. They will be affordable at 50% and 40% AMI. And Volker is actually committing to affordability for 50 years on this project through a title restriction. So, very positive. I am not going to, you don't have to worry. I will not read you this. I will not read you this list. These are all the commitments that you have seen before in the letter of intent and now in the development agreement that's before you. And the environmental stewardship minimum improvements, I will pause on these because, again, this was part of what provided value to the project for the city. The community garden, native plantings, rooftop solar energy, water conservation, LED light fixtures, the surface bioretention, which is great for our stormwater management, heat pumps, that is TBD, but then efficient appliances and HVAC as well. Additional commitments. So this is an important one as well. We have been working with Volker to add that tenant service coordination component to this project. And ultimately, what we are able to do is using the incremental taxes that will generate from this property, we can provide up to $200,000 to Volker. That's over a 5-year rebate. So that is an up to number, so it depends on what the ultimate valuation is and what's collected over those 5 years. But in exchange for that, Volker commits to providing that tenant service coordination, which again is outlined in the development agreement, to provide at least 24 interactions over the course of the year with tenants delivering services at the site. And we have talked with Polk County, the Polk County administrator, about that, and that is in line with where they wanted to be in terms of expectation for their funding commitment in this project. So the next steps. I mentioned that the LIHTC, or low-income housing tax credit, applications are due in mid-March here. And then we should know about the tax credit awards in June. So 2 paths here. Number one, the one that we're all hoping for is that the project is awarded the low-income housing tax credits. Then everything we see here in the DA continues forward, and we look to closing at the end of this year. If the project is not awarded, then the DA gives us both a chance to pause and reassess and say, where do we go from here? So it isn't, well, we say goodbye to Travis and team and Volker, but rather we have a moment to stop and say, is there a way that we can restructure this development agreement to carry forward a project still on that site? Of course, that would be a new DA and a new process, but we do have that opportunity to pause before we would part ways. But hopefully, we get great news in June, and we just continue on as planned. So the recommendation tonight is to approve that resolution, which authorizes the conveyance of that property and the execution of the DA with Enclave Apartments. Before I go any further, I really need to express appreciation for all the work that Annika Schilke has done on this project, getting this to where it is tonight, as well as the Hubble amendment that'll come up tonight. But then also want to note that Travis Felschald from Volker is here as well to answer any questions there might be. With that, I'm happy to take any at the staff level first.
Travis, we're going to make you an honorary Urbandale resident.
I do have a question, and it is because I am not a lawyer, and seeing the last couple of slides. So we're not actually going to close the sale of this until December. So what does conveyance mean?
We're laying out all the terms right now for how that would happen. So if everything proceeds, we just keep on going. So we're laying out all those terms right now.
And
I'm
that
glad to
is
see Maria
what
nod.
is necessary to satisfy ownership adjacent for the tax credits or the tax credit application? I mean, the fact that we're in this conveyance process?
Oh, sure, yes, and I'll allow Travis to explain more about how they got to comfort with that. But yes, that is an important part of this process.
Okay, so
they have to show that they've got the property under contract, essentially.
And that's what what we're doing tonight.
Yes.
Is satisfactory, but we wouldn't get a check or anything until maybe the end of the year if everything happens
That's
according to plan.
exactly right. And in fact, the Volker team has already signed this DA, so that's the way we do it. We make sure the other party, we have a signature on it before we bring it to you tonight. So that, I think, is the best expression of their satisfaction with the DA that we could have.
Great. I just didn't quite make those two connections, so thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
I might have missed in the DA what the mix of 40% and 50% AMI is.
One moment, please. Travis, do you know it offhand? Just looking, just give us 1 second.
Yeah.
We'll be right to you. Annika, if you happen to have it on hand, I'd appreciate that.
AMI, and the remainder will be at 50% AMI. That is to maximize points under IFAS scoring system.
Gotcha. Is that, and I guess I don't even know like the exact, but like, is that more to, like, is that to the unit itself, or is that more of just like the rent, like to the renters, like your rent, you're kind of exhausting the 40% list and then you're exhausting the 50% list?
So those units will be formally designated 40% AMI units upon receipt of the tax credit award. And so we would expect as owners and operators that those 40% AMI units being cheaper, more affordable, lease up faster than those 50s. But ultimately, when a resident is touring the apartment or prospective resident is touring, I believe fair housing rules would require them to be able to pick any unit, and then we would classify them based on their current income.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on their income level, if they're able to afford a 50% AMI unit, we could rent that particular unit to them at that income designation. But I
Gotcha.
think there's some flexibility.
Gotcha. So like you would have a map and you'd be able to say like, this is all of them, but there's some wiggle room in that you have to be able to swap them if need be.
That's correct.
Okay, got it.
So you wouldn't identify apartments 3, 5, 57 as 40% units. It would just be what's available and what the income and they would match.
That's right.
Okay.
It gets very hairy and very regulated on the compliance side to make sure the right residents are renting the right unit at the right price. And I don't believe there's an ability to steer prospective residents to one unit or the other. So I believe there's flexibility to kind of play around with the set-asides once it's completed, but that is a question for our compliance and property management teams.
No, that's probably enough for what I'm looking for then. Thank you.
I did want to clarify quickly too on that, the slide about the mix of bedroom sizes. I'm going to flip back to it because it might not have made total sense. So looking at that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th bullet. So 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. A simple way to read this would be no more than 15% would be 1 bedrooms. Then 25% of the 85% would be 3 bedrooms. Does that make sense? What we were trying to do is make sure that it wasn't loaded with 1 bedrooms.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Curtis, I don't want to get too far into the weeds on the contract, but I see under section 3.10, there's a reversionary right.
Right.
I assume that means that the city that ownership would revert to the city upon a default if that happens before there is a construction loan secured?
Correct. So if Volker was able to receive a construction loan, that would be our signal. The project is moving forward. Before that happened, then we would still have that ability to bring the project back to our ownership.
Right, we would still have the remedies in section 7 of the contract, even after the construction loan is secured, so I understand that, but, yeah. I don't have any reason to think things are gonna go south, but it's an unfortunate part of my training, I think, of worst-case scenarios.
Any other questions for Travis or for me?
I'm just really excited about how this is moving forward and the fact that there were too many cool things on the list for you to read to us, you know. All the things that are gonna make this a great project, and the whole page of environmental, extras that are going to make us extra happy. So
Absolutely. I think
I appreciate everyone's hard work.
All of the staff has been really excited about this project each step of the way, so thanks.
And I would also add, it's incredibly impressive and very appreciative of the 25% 3-bedroom. We know that is a significant gap in our housing in the metro-wide, let alone just in Urbandale. So I'm really excited, and I think those will fill really fast.
Definitely.
One other question, are you working at all with, or is there an anticipation of working with like primary health care through their like tenant-based rental assistance and their other housing programs that will help fill these units?
As part of our pre-leasing and leasing efforts and marketing efforts, I know we'll be working with all of those agencies to obtain referrals before we're even complete with construction, to ensure for everyone's benefit that the day we have our certificate of occupancy, we can fill those units. So that is something our property management team and
Great.
Leasing folks all.
And remind me, Section 8 housing, you're taking vouchers as well?
Correct, housing choice vouchers.
Yep, perfect.
All right. We are in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Okay. Travis, have you anything more to add?
Yeah, it's also worth mentioning, IFA has recently made a couple slight tweaks to their QAP. So I believe actually this month their QAP is being finalized for March 11th of their application date. And one of those tweaks was increasing the amount of tax credits per project that might be allowed. So as you've seen in the presentation, I know we were originally contemplating 50 units. We're actually able to add more affordable units to the project and comply with all the rules and regulations and zoning code. So figured we're able to add more affordable housing, which is a benefit to everyone. So that's the reason that number has tweaked a little bit.
All right.
What does that look like in reality of like, would the units be smaller? Would the footprint be bigger?
If you recall, we had that bridge feature between our two buildings.
Mm-hmm.
We actually took one of those sides and actually added a unit stack.
Okay.
And then we also extended our wings a little bit further north, or further south and further west, to elongate the building and added another stack.
So you've extended the footprint of it to accommodate.
That's right.
And how many additional units?
We were able to add 10 additional
Oh,
units.
wow.
And most of those came in the form of 2 bedrooms. So I think it's 2 stacks of vertical units, and I think another 2 or 3 bedroom scattered throughout the building. But
That's exciting.
yeah, I'll also add, just in terms of site plan, we've been working with Curtis Nonica. We, based on title and survey results and easements and water and sewer lines that actually run through the site that we're working around, we did actually rotate our building a bit. We had to push our building a little bit further west to account for an easement and setback. We relocated the stormwater management and rain garden from the east of the building to the south, and then also relocated our dog park and playground to be away from those drive aisles to ensure a better and safer environment for children that might be living on site. So knock on wood, you will see that updated, enhanced, and improved plan in a few months after LIHTC award. So.
Great, thank you.
All right, any further questions? All right.
I'll move.
No, we need, with that, is our motion then to close the public hearing?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. We're still in public hearing, so gotta get that closed.
Too excited.
All right, now you can.
Okay, I'll move approval of resolution 080-2026.
By Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Further discussion? If not, please vote. That passes. Thank you again, everybody. Thanks, Travis. All right, moving on to item 7.3 is a public hearing and consideration of bids for the 2026 PCC Patch Program Phase 3. The public notice for this is published in January 30, 2026. Des Moines Register. Any objections to that? Notice is published.
There were none.
Ask for a motion to open this public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Cacciatore,
Second.
by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And to introduce this is our Director of Engineering Public Works, John Larson. John?
Yep. All right. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Before I get started on this one, I just want to note, since we started the meeting with the Engineering Week, that all 5 projects I'll present on tonight for the bids were designed in-house by city staff. So again, all our engineers at work. But this one here is our 3rd and final phase of our annual PCC program. On February 11th, we received 8 bids on the project. We're recommending the low bid from HS Concrete Incorporated in the amount of $261,156. Their bid was approximately $70,000 or 21% under our estimate. And with this project, we'll be patching approximately 3,400 square yards of fold-up concrete patches at 4 cul-de-sacs. And we hope to be done in September of this year. So a little bit about the project. The areas in red are the 4 cul-de-sacs that we'll be working on. They are east of 86th Street and on each side of Parkview Drive. In the last few years, we've done patching up in this area and patching in this area. So we're gonna do the cul-de-sacs, and then next year we're scheduled to do the reconstruction of Parkview. So that'll kind of complete the work in the neighborhood. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, John. Any questions for John?
Do I remember correctly that this will be, we're targeting the finish of this like September-ish?
Yes, September, yep. Almost all our projects this year have a September deadline.
Gotcha.
So we can get the restoration done in time.
All right, we're in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. We have 3 items for consideration.
Move resolution 071-2026.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move resolution 072-2026.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move resolution 073-2026.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 7.4 is a public hearing and consideration of bids for the Northwest Urban Drive Preservation Project. The public notice for this was also published in the January 30, 2026 Des Moines Register. Any objections to that? Notice is published.
There were none.
Is there a motion to open this public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Cacciatore.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. John?
All right, so these are the bids for our Northwest Urbandale Drive Preservation Project from Douglas Avenue north to Meredith Drive. So on February 11th, we received 7 bids on this project. We're recommending the low bid from Inroads LLC in the amount of $1,767,909.39. Their bid was approximately $663,000 or 27% less than our estimate. So with this one, we'll have 8,300 square yards of fold-up concrete patching, 600 square yards of partial depth HMA patching, and then 700 tons of an asphalt overlay. There is a road closure involved with this for the nighttime asphalt work, so that closure is allowed from 9 p.m. till 6 a.m. And then we'll still be providing local access as needed through that closure. And then our detour will be on Douglas over to 109th, 112th, and then on Meredith Drive. So we'll take them to the west and back on around. This one again is anticipated to be done by September of this year. So just to kind of show where we're at. It's kind of hard to see up here, but this Meredith Drive is on the north, Douglas is on the bottom, and then here's our Northwest Urbandale Drive. So as I said, the detour will bring them on Douglas, the 109th, 112th up and around on Meredith. Once we've patched and overlaid this portion, this will be the last section of 100th Street or Northwest Urbandale Drive to be patched and overlaid. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah, John, I just have a very general question, and you might have told me this before, so forgive me. When we receive these bids, what other types of information do we get from the contractors?
Basically just their unit prices. So we see their unit price, we have a total to compare. And then when they have the public hearing, we also get a bid bond with them.
We don't get any history on the I assume you're probably familiar with most of these bidders.
I'll let Maria correct me, but I don't believe we're allowed to really ask for pre-qualifications with our bidding process.
That's correct. There's only certain categories of information that you can request, and you can only request that information from the apparent low bidder. And so if the city's already familiar with that information for particular apparent low bidders, then probably wouldn't need to take that step.
Got it.
Right. Whereas if we have somebody that we have not worked with, we'll just verify, have they done this type work before? And if they have, like I said, I think
that's really my question.
It's usually,
okay.
it's pretty difficult to exclude your low bidder.
I think there's actually a bill that's out there, I don't know where it is, there's a bill pending that maybe address that a little bit, so maybe give a little more strength to municipalities to look at some of the bad folks out there, so. I don't know, have you seen that, Maria? I don't know.
We're tracking that.
Yeah, so, that may change a little bit, but right now it's kind of difficult to really do that other than provide the low bid, so.
Right, and just as an example, this Inroads, we've done several projects with them over the last few years here.
Just a quick clarification or question, I guess, that I've had. Say we have someone who is a low bid, but then they consistently come back with adjustments to that bid, and we never see those, right? So I'm assuming you all see them, approve them,
Correct.
and make a mental note so we know in the future, or like how?
I guess the way I would describe it is, correct, within our bidding policy, there's a certain dollar limit. If we have change orders exceed a certain limit, then they need to come back to council. So again, at staff level, and I would say we review those, and I don't know that we really have an issue with contractors trying to bid it low and then make it up through change orders. Again, we're pretty stringent on what we allow for a change order.
Any further questions? All right, we are in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Cacciatore.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes, and there are 4 items for consideration.
Move resolution 076-2026.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move resolution 077-2026.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move Resolution 078-2026.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
And move Resolution 079-2026.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, that concludes our public hearings. Item 8 is to establish new public hearings versus item 8.1 to establish the public hearing for the amendment number 2, the amended and restated Westover Urban Renewal Plan.
Motion to approve resolution 058-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.2 is establish a public hearing for amendment number 5 to the amended and restated downtown Urbandale Neighborhood Area Urban Renewal Plan.
Motion to approve resolution 059-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.3 is to establish the public hearing for the proposed property tax levy. Nikki, anything we want to add? This is the procedures. Yep, so establishes April 7 as the public hearing.
Motion to approve resolution 084-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.4 is to establish the public hearing for the General Obligation Capital Loan Note Series 2026A. With 2 resolutions.
Motion to approve resolution 085-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve resolution 086-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 8.5 is to establish the public hearing for the sanitary sewer easements for the Des Moines Metropolitan Wastewater Reclamation Authority.
Move approval of resolution 070-2026.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9, regular agenda items versus item 9.1, and that's to consider the development agreement amendment number 1 between Hubble Realty Company and Line 7 Apartments LLC, and I'll turn back over to Curtis.
Sounds great. Excellent. Thank you, Nicole. Mayor, council members, before you tonight is a amendment to that development agreement that we approved with Hubble Realty almost a year ago. And I will just refamiliarize you with the project. It will be built at the southwest corner of Waterford Road and 142nd Street. You can see the aerial there. And then this is a site plan for the property. So to recap some of the important facts about this project before your consideration, Line 7 Apartments is a nod to the old Line 7 that came up from Des Moines and turned around in downtown Urbandale. So really connects that Urbandale origins with our westward growth. This being a pretty major project on the 142nd Street, west of 142nd Street, so the Dallas County side of the line. The site plan for this project was approved in December of '24. Our original development agreement, almost a year to the day, February 18th last year. And then overall, the plan would be 3 apartment buildings with 135 units. What is in the development agreement that that was approved and has not changed is, I'll just go right to the important parts. 6 units reserved for families at that 80% AMI level with a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units at the 80%. But Councilmember Kroll, further to your point on the Volker project, 9 units for income qualifying households at 60%, and those are only 2 and 3 bedroom units. So 15 total units through the project. There would be a formal meeting 4 years before expiration, so the affordability is preserved for 15 years. But 4 years in advance, we'd have the opportunity to pause and say, hey, how can we possibly extend affordability if we can agree on terms? They will also accept the Section 8 vouchers as well, and then participate in the city's crime-free multi-housing program. None of that changes. What is being amended is because of a change in the way that Hubble has chosen to finance this project. Obviously, it's been a year later here that we're back, so they're working on stacking up the financing for this. And so what has essentially changed is initially in the project, Hubble's performance was going to be guaranteed by a certificate of deposit, basically a letter of credit, money in the bank. But the problem is that ties up cash and comes with a cost. And so originally, we were going to provide $775,000, which was a recognition of the actual cost it would take to keep that letter of credit in place. They are moving from the letter of credit as security. And so the first thing that happened was, okay, you don't need that additional $25,000. The grant is back to $750,000. It will be made in the form of a forgivable loan. And so the way we're securing their performance now is through 3 ways. Number one, there'll be a promissory note to pay that forgivable loan. And so each of the 15 years that they perform under the agreement, 1/15 of that obligation goes away. Second, we will file a second mortgage on the property. So that puts us in line to any assets at a liquidation or a sale. That's the second layer of protection. The third layer of protection is a corporate guarantee from Hubble Realty Corporation. So not the LLC that's formed for this project, but from the parent company, Hubble. So we will still have good security for their performance under the project. And so if there was a default, then we would have recourse to bring them hopefully back into compliance. And just be assured there would be no disbursement of any money until a certificate of occupancy was awarded for the project. Last is that the original completion deadline was anticipated to be March of next year, moving that out to March of 2028. The construction timeline on these can be elongated, so moving out to March of 2028. But again, the rest of the plan remains in place. So our recommendation is to approve that resolution authorizing the amendment. Are there any questions?
Curtis, excuse me, the loan becomes forgivable at what point? Certificate of occupancy?
So it becomes forgivable each year that they're in compliance. 1/15 is forgiven.
Oh, got it.
And so
All
at
right.
the end of those 15 years, you'd essentially exhaust that. It would have been fully forgiven.
Just out of curiosity, what was the advantage to them of having it be a forgivable loan as opposed to a grant? Is that just something their lender was wanting, or that?
It was, yes, it was the structure of the way their financing was put together. And in fact, it gave us more control in making it a forgivable loan, because then it came with a companion with the promissory note as well. So in the form of a loan, then that allows us to continue to monitor it and keep that obligation out there.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure.
If I remember correctly, so this agreement is for the 3 buildings that they're building first, right? Or and then the other 2 that they're planning, is that kind of a future conversation?
Right. This just covers the first phase. Okay. Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah, I want to say it was 135 units of the 3 buildings, so it was around 10%. That's what got us to that 15. Mm-hmm.
And the pushing of this, basically pushing it a year, does that also push that second phase out an equivalent time frame?
I don't know. In fact, I emailed Kevin and Matt anticipating questions about timing. I haven't heard back yet, but that's something we can follow back through an update.
Any further questions?
Okay.
Is there a motion?
Sorry. I'll move approval of Resolution 068-2026.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Thank you, Curtis. Hope you can read locked out. So that passes. Item 9.2 is consider the professional services agreement for the Waterford Park improvements. And Jan, do you have anything further to add? Or just any questions? Any questions? Jan's here to answer any questions if there are. Not, is there a motion?
Move Resolution 083-2026.
By Bodie.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.3 is consider the bids for the 2026 ADA Improvements Program. John?
All right, yep, this is the bid tabulation for our annual ADA program. On February 11th, we received 12 bids on the project, so a lot of bids for our smaller concrete projects. We're recommending the low bid from MB Lawn Care LLC in the amount of $64,383.50. That was approximately $15,000 or almost 19% less than our engineer's estimate. With this project, we'll be rebuilding the ramps at 7 intersections. That'll involve replacement of 400 square yards of sidewalks and ramps. And we're anticipating this being done by September of this year. So to kind of show where they're at, you can kind of see they're kind of all over Urbandale. This year's program is based on where we've received concerns from residents, so we're kind of catching up in anywhere where we've had concerns about the condition of the ramp. We're making sure we take care of those. So yeah, normally we're in more of a concentrated area, but this year we're kind of more spread out. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
If I recall, a while back, there was basically a plan to say over the next whatever amount of time, we're gonna remedy different ADA improvements throughout the city.
Right.
Where are we at kind of on that plan?
Again, it's more of a time frame. It's not that you have to have them all done within that time frame. So I recall it's a 15-year plan, and I think we have to reevaluate the plan in I think 2031 or 2032. So again, at that time, you would look at everything again. And then just kind of mention, it's not just this project that we do updates to our ADA ramps. There's several included with our PCC patch, or anytime we reconstruct a road, we redo the ramps at the same time. So we do several more than what you see with just this program.
Okay. And with, a 15-year window, I would assume that there's maybe evolutions in some of the requirements and things like that. Is that something that we kind of just fold into our new projects, and then once we hit that new window where we have a new plan, is that when we kind of look back on some of those other areas that we would need to evaluate?
Correct. So anytime a new regulation comes out, we build them to the current standards. The tough part about this is that we're in Iowa. It doesn't take a whole lot of freeze-thaw seasons, and we're out of compliance. So, I mean, there's several we could be doing this year that when it comes back again, we have to redo them again just because they've shifted, because the tolerances are so tight. A few hundredths one way or another, and you're out of tolerance. So.
All right.
Motion to approve resolution 074-2026.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.4 is consider the bids for the 2025 sidewalk repair program.
Okay. So, yep, this is our annual sidewalk program. On February 11th, we received 12 bids again for this project. We're recommending the low bid from M&M Concrete Specialists in the amount of $32,254.25. They're almost $29,000 or 47% less than our estimate. I want to note, in the past, we asked how our bids were compared to past years. Most of all our other concrete bids have been fairly similar. This one was significantly less, so again, our residents will be paying less for these repairs. We do have 103 locations to be repaired, and none of those will be the city's responsibility, and we're hoping to be done in September of this year. So to kind of show where the repairs are at, this year, the northeast part of town was the area that we inspected. If we get any concerns throughout the year, you know, we also take care of those with this program. So you can see there's a few more further out west, but most of it's in the northeast corner. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I'll move approval of Resolution 075-2026.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.5 is consider the bids for the Aurora Avenue PCC sidewalk project.
Yep.
John?
So this is our third and final phase of our sidewalk program within the Aurora Business Park. So on February 3rd, we received 12 bids on this project as well. And we're recommending the low bid from MB Lawn Care LLC, including alternate number 1, in the amount of $95,500.80. We're estimating right now the city's share will be just over $37,000 for the project. Their bid was $22,000 or 19% less than our engineer's estimate. And then the alternate number 1, that's for irrigation repairs that are privately owned. So they're going to be paying for those. And then the sidewalk will be 5 feet wide, 4 inches thick, and it's about 1,500 feet in length. So as I mentioned about the irrigation repairs being paid, we do have a petition and waiver with Aurora Business Park 2 LLC, which is R&R Realty. And in that petition and waiver, they've agreed to pay their half of the sidewalk improvements and for the irrigation repairs. And we're anticipating everything being done in September of this year. So about the project, 2 years ago, we constructed the sidewalk on the west side of 114th Street from Meredith down to Aurora Avenue. And then last year, we continued this all the way down 114th Street to Douglas Avenue to connect into the trail system. This year, our sidewalk will go east on Aurora Avenue on the south side, and then it'll tie into the sidewalk system around their pond. So again, the entire area will be able to walk several sidewalks now. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions for John on this?
I'll move approval of Resolution 081-2026.
By
Second.
Carberry Montgomery, second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move Resolution 082-2026.
By Bodie.
Second.
Second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.6 is to consider establishing the Human Services Advisory Board. And I'll turn this back over to Curtis to introduce us. Curtis?
Sounds good. I'm starting to feel like John Larson. Thanks again. We're nearing the end of the agenda. This council letter 8467 is to establish a Human Services Advisory Board. I'll just walk through the trail that got us here and then finish with some details of the board, and then we'll take questions. This won't take long. Rewinding the tape, how did we get here? In September of 2023 through April of 2024, a Human Services Strategic Plan was developed. A consultant was hired, stakeholders were engaged, and ultimately in the spring of 24, this plan came out with the purpose to elevate and maintain quality of life in Urbandale through support and collaboration with community organizations, defining a city role as a connector and coordinator, advocate and policymaker, and funder. The plan, very importantly, also defined 5 key areas to work in: food insecurity, transportation, affordable housing, language support, and youth services. Then, in August of 24 through fall of 25, a Human Services Committee was put together to take the next level of detail forward on the Human Services Plan. That committee was composed of 18 members, widely across all of those 5 areas, And their task was to make priority funding and policy recommendations. And they worked on that for a bit over a year there. And then coming out of that process, the main funding policy, the funding recommendation was the inclusion of the rental pilot study into the FY27 budget recommendation. Approval's pending, but it's in that budget recommendation. And then the policy recommendations were in the areas of transportation, affordable housing, and language support. So while there wasn't one particular policy that was elevated as the number one, they generally fell in those categories. Then in the fall of 25, with that task done, the next question was, well, where does this committee go from here? A number of the terms of the members were expiring at the end of last year in December of 25. And so with the main policy work done, we pushed pause and looked at what is the best way forward. And that's what we're bringing to you tonight, is the formation of a Human Services Advisory Board. The ultimate goal of all of this is recognizing the city does have a role in human services in our community, and this puts it in an appropriate spot within the organization, led by staff, but with constant dialogue with community stakeholders. So I'll explain a bit more how that would work. The advisory board would be formed of 10 members. There would be at least one member from each of those 5 priority areas, and then 5 additional members that would have relevant expertise or perspectives to help with informing human services in the community. So there may be, there could be a couple from food or what have you, but we just want to make sure that each of the 5 areas are represented. And again, the idea is to go from a transitional committee to really a long-term institutionalized approach that's predictable for you all and for staff. The terms of the members, well, first we would source the appointments or recommendations for appointment from the former 18 committee members. And in fact, John Conyers been reaching out to them, trying to get a sense of interest in continuing. So as I mentioned, those terms expired at the end of 25, 26, and 27. And then my third bullet repeats that, so ignore that. And so looking at those 18 committee members, we'd use them first to fill out those 10 appointments. It would go through the normal appointment process, so a mayor recommends to the council. And then what I'm recommending in this first stage is some of those terms expired in 27. Get the number for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5 of the terms, or 4 as a practical matter because one person has stepped away, expire in 27. So we'd keep those appointments. There'd be some that were at the end of 27, but the majority would expire at the end of 26. Why would we do such a short term to begin with, you might ask? Well, the thought is, as we're putting this together, having that shorter appointment in 26 gives us the opportunity at the end of the year to say, okay, those of you who have helped make this transition, would you like to stay on longer? And then we can get on a schedule of terms that expire on staggered levels in 27, 28, and 29. So we never have a wholesale turnover of the board. But again, this time we're thinking longer term, so really laying that out. But the shorter term allows us to get our feet under us this year, get through the end of one fiscal year into another and kind of figure out how this goes and make adjustments. The function of the board, they would meet quarterly or bi-monthly, and in many ways it's like the Economic Development Advisory Board. The way that board is put together is there is representation from all the relevant stakeholders on economic development, and what happens is a two-way communication. First, when staff has a program or policy recommendation that they're considering, they bring it to the advisory board and say, hey, we're looking at developing this. How do you think this is going to play out in the real world? Do you have any adjustments you think we should make? Any warnings? Also, advisory board meetings have a component where they go around the table and say, what are the things we should know from your perspective out there in the economic development world that could inform our work? So you can see a dialogue gets put in play. We're looking at the same thing with the Human Services Advisory Board. There's a staff responsibility to develop policy and recommendations, and then kind of have those floated by the board for feedback, which makes it better. And then staff also uses the board as a way to get information to inform their work. The group wouldn't have a chair, would act by consensus, and it's not regulatory. So it's not an approval body, it's truly advisory. It'd be subject to all the standard board requirements, including ethics and open meetings, et cetera. We're not putting an expiration on this, but again, as I already talked about, we would reevaluate the structure, function, terms, et cetera, from time to time, definitely at the end of this year, going into calendar 27. An important part of this too is while the city manager's office, and at least in the near term, I will be the lead staff member on this group. Not one person has the full picture on human services in the city. So we would put together an interdepartmental team that would start to think about and respond to what are the different issues we're seeing in human services. So certainly some departments that would have an important role would be the fire department, the police department, library, Parks and Rec with the MAP camp. So there are some departments that are really obvious that would be a part of this multi-departmental team. But that's not to say there aren't other departments that would have a relevant perspective on this as well. So David would form that team, and then we'd be off to the races on working with the advisory board. On that internal staff working group, what we're thinking is that we want the cycle of recommendation, and especially funding recommendation, to more closely track the normal rhythm of the fiscal year, so that over the course of the year, staff would use the data that's available to the city. And we really do have a lot of data that we can look at to inform where are the areas that we can best place investments in people, frankly, to really get back to that purpose of the Human Services Strategic Plan to improve quality of life for everyone. And then in looking at, because resources are not infinite, we would look at where are the areas that we can intervene to really create the greatest positive impact for those that are most in need. And as I said, we would look to align those recommendations with the budget development and consideration cycle. And so if this council letter 8467 is approved, the next step would be that the city manager would convene that internal human services working group. We would work to bring forward the mayoral appointments of the inaugural 10 members of the advisory board. And then the first meeting of that HSAB would be before the end of this fiscal year. So really get the infrastructure set up, and then start the rhythm of making human services not an add-on to what we do, but more an integral part of the normal functioning of the city on the staff side, as well as bringing forth policy recommendations.
That was good.
Thank you for listening. I'll happy to answer any questions.
Very, very thorough presentation. I appreciate your thoroughness. A couple of questions or comments. I think some representation maybe from the senior center
Sure, that's an
would
example.
also be appropriate from the staff side. And then I just had if we're not going to see a meeting before the end of June, realistically, we're only looking at a couple of meetings before these terms expire. So, I guess I trust your judgment on this, but that seems like a lot of work to have them expire after meeting like 2 or 3 times.
I totally agree. I mean this very literally. We would have a first meeting before the end of June. I would anticipate at least a couple. I thought, first step, let's make sure the council is on board with this council letter. And then I think we could easily have a couple meetings yet this year. Get beyond spring break, bring the appointments forward. I could see April, May.
Yeah, that's, I
Easily.
just, things are flying by. It's already, the next meeting is our
No,
March meeting, so.
absolutely.
If it works for you guys, then I'm fine with that. I just wanted to ask about that.
I totally agree. One wouldn't be a lot before the
I'll
end
get
of
to work
June,
and we
so-
should, I think we can probably, I can work with staff to have our appointments
You bet.
for our next meeting, so.
Sure, yep.
All right.
I will move council letter 8467.
Okay, motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Carberry Montgomery. Any further discussion? Not, please vote. Thank you, Curtis. Thanks for your hard work on this one, too.
I was gonna say that.
That passes. That takes us to our end of our regular voting agenda, and we'll move on to item 10. That's the special topics, and tonight is the budget recap. So, David?
Yeah, we don't have a lot to discuss tonight. I did, about a half hour before the meeting, send the council a list of answers to some of the questions that came up, the smaller, non-financial questions that came up in the meeting. I don't expect that you've had a chance to review those, but I want to point that out. I did want to ask Nikki to go over the one financial change that is being proposed, just so that the council it's also explained in the questions and answers, and she has handouts to reflect it as well.
For your binders to trade out. So the only change that was brought up was that the ADA remediation for the website piece, that we didn't need that outside consultant, that 20,000. So we moved that over to marketing, from marketing over to economic development to deal with the branding that we came forward at the end. So net zero, but it did change from one department to the other, which is in a different function. So these are the replacement pages for the marketing page, just with that 20,000 taken out and added to the economic development. So these are just trade out pages to reflect the shift for that. But we otherwise didn't have any recommendations for dollar-wise changes, at least none that the cumulative note takers noted. From that. So it's pretty straightforward, but those pages can be replaced. We did not reprint the entire document. It'll be on the website, though.
I've got a really random question for you. I've been appointed to Dallas County Housing Trust Fund, and I had a meeting with the staff there today, and they indicated that we pay them 28 cents per capita in Dallas County residents. Where's that in the budget?
It is in.
I just don't recall seeing a line item for it, so I didn't know if it was rolled in with something else or.
No, there's a line item for it. I believe it is in Health and Social Services as well.
No.
Yeah, so the Dallas County Housing Trust Fund program support is on HSS 5.
HSS 5.
So it's in the community services where we have the neighborhood finance and the other Section 8 housing that goes to the
And
city of Des Moines.
what is that? I didn't.
$3,300.
$3,300. Okay, giving them all our money. No, that's what
Yes,
they
it
ask
is.
for.
Yep, that's what we get an invoice for, so that is what we send them.
Thank you.
That's it.
Any other ones?
Any
I
other
feel
questions
like I'm
or-
not doing my job without having a couple of commentary follow-up, but
Well, very good budget year over. I mean, as far as this,
Yeah, and I know the council did too. I got an email, I don't think we're within 24 hours, but may have been the night before last.
Yeah.
I'm catching up from being gone, so I do intend to respond to that a little bit with a couple of points that I think will be important to point out.
Was that Tim's email or?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Always happy to sit down too and talk. The budget's my very favorite subject matter on planet Earth, so if he'd like to come down and talk for a few hours, I'll make myself available.
You're such a good fit for us.
So the next steps, just so you're aware, we do have the proposed levy that was set the public hearing today, earlier in this meeting. That happens on April 7th. That's the one that's the 4:30 special meeting, that's the only thing we're allowed to talk about. And then we'll have the regular meeting following that. We will set then the public hearing for the actual adoption of this full document at that same meeting. Well, at the regular meeting, not at the special meeting. So it's two separate things, and so the budget will be adopted on April 21st, barring no changes at that time. The levy letters that go to all the households, those will be mailed out. Our information is uploaded to Department of Management. March 5th, those go out, and so then expect if people are going to get calls or whatever, and that same information will be on our website, as it always is, of if you have questions about this letter, how to interpret it, call my office.
And just to follow up to that there was a request for a summary of the budget, and Nikki and I are going to put that together. You will have that before March 5th, so that when calls or emails start coming in, you'll be able to share that or refer us to staff, whichever way you want to do it.
With our office number, that's usually helpful.
But still, it's good to be able to answer quick
Yep.
questions.
All right. Any further comments or questions on it? All right. Then move on to city manager's report. Anything additional?
Just following up from earlier, that we do need, apparently I was in full vacation mode last Tuesday because I got an email. We've got an amendment that we need to have the council approve and get executed so that we can close on 4020 121st Street. And so that needs to, if that happens, then we can continue to close by February 27th, which is kind of the goal that the date that we were working towards. So it'd be one of those meetings, but for the discussion that you want to have on, on the House bill, it would be a singular topic and, electronic meeting and very short. But that one's on me. I apologize. I just failed to get that forwarded on to Curtis to get on the agenda for tonight.
Do we want to look to try to get a consensus on a date, maybe to?
I think Nicole would appreciate that.
Yes.
So what were you thinking as far as
It's done, and basically 24 hours notice, we're good to go. I mean, it would be, I think, a very quick agenda to put together. I don't want to commit Nicole's team to lightning fast work, but basically the amendment has been drafted by legal counsel, ready to go.
But if we were to add another item on there related to the civil rights stuff at the state, how much time do you need to get that prepared?
A couple of days, I think, should be fine. That's a trick question in a way, because my advice is, if you want to take action on that, my suspicion is that might move quickly once it starts to move. So I would hate to tell you, take your time and take a week, and then you might be taking action after it's become a law.
Well, but how much time do you need or you and Bob need to put together something for us to discuss?
What do you think, a couple of days?
Yeah.
And we can work on it tomorrow, as far as I'm concerned. We could put together a couple of bullet points to consider.
I'm just looking ahead here. I'm trying to.
Are we thinking something this week still, or is it like a Monday?
I'm thinking maybe realistically a Monday.
Okay.
I don't know.
23rd. So post on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta look at, as I'm flying back that day. I just need to see when my flight. If we can do it maybe in the. Bear with me here. Well, or could we do it, maybe on Monday later in the afternoon? Does that work for folks?
Yeah.
Maybe a 4 o'clock or 5, even a 5 o'clock?
Sure. 5 o'clock is too late for me.
Okay. 4 work?
4, yeah. I just have a meeting at 6.
4 could work,
That
yeah.
in person.
Would
that I
4
need to
work
get
on
to.
Monday?
4 works. Yeah.
Because I get back
Even if
to
I
Des
can.
Moines at 1:18, so
I'm not gonna deal with Jack, I can figure that one out, so, yeah.
will that work?
And it's a
Yeah,
quick,
that works.
I mean, it'll be fairly quick.
Well, yeah, there might be some time to discuss, obviously, the other issue, but
I can deal with that, so 4 o'clock.
let's plan on 4
4
o'clock
o'clock
Monday.
Monday?
You'll send a calendar invite?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, 4 o'clock on
Thank
Monday.
you.
We
Send a
do
calendar
have
invite.
Planning and Zoning Commission at 5:30 on Monday.
We'll be done before then,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think. Yeah, but thanks for that. All right. We'll plan on anything further? Blake?
Just a couple of quick items. One is a quick question on DMDC in terms of sign up, or do we just need to kind of flag if we're able to attend to you guys, or when would we need to know by, or how's that?
Yes, when we need to know by, I'm not certain, but Angie will do all the registrations all together. I think we're waiting to get answers from everybody, and then we'll do that
Yeah.
collectively for you.
Okay, I'm signing up then.
Nikki, do you think you could send us a summary of the expenditure policy as it relates to this and separate flights and, yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Only other item I have is happy birthday to Frida Ruhlman on the 9th, I think it was. She's 105.
Oh, I did see that.
We got the proclamation over
Yep.
there.
Yeah, I got to drop by. I dropped by Arbordale yesterday afternoon. They had a birthday celebration for all the residents there. Very well attended. Unfortunately, Frida was not able to make it down to the celebration, so they had her kind of hold up. She was worn out from a physical therapy appointment. So there were a lot of people out there, and I got several very pleasant comments about the city being engaged in it, and so it was a very good celebration.
Thanks for covering that, Blake.
Yeah.
So it was an acquaintance reached out to Blake, and so we got a proclamation work together, and I was unable to be there, so Blake took it over there, so thank you for doing that, so. Bridget?
On Monday, the reason that I have a meeting at 6 is I am participating as a community participant on the Waukee Superintendent Search Committee. So they're having a training, and then they're running a very fast process and training for the committee members. And then I think the interviews are before spring break, so. And they've just recently posted the job, so, but I think they had a representative on our city manager search committee, so I was glad to be able to repay the time for that. We have our annual DART budget session with commissioners and city managers. And Bob, you're welcome to attend tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 if you're looking for a good time. So, in relation to what Jane talked about during the public comment, I'm having a lot of angst about the flock cameras based on what I'm reading in the news. And I was unaware of what she referred to that happened in Coralville. I had just heard what had happened in Iowa City, and I had a hard time kind of believing some of the things that were coming out of Iowa City, but I also am still feeling a lot of anxiety about everything related to them. So, and I'm not sure, I was able to talk a little bit to Senator Blake today. I'm not exactly sure what's going on in either house, but I really think we need to have a conversation around this table at some point in the near future, because I just don't know what the right thing to do is.
There are, I think I've seen maybe a half dozen bills that have been filed on ALPRs. So my sense is that, I don't know where it's gonna land. I haven't really been talking to her. I don't know what Senator Blake said, but I think there's gonna be some action somewhere. I think maybe what we do is, first of all, maybe be patient and wait to see what happens legislatively. And then also maybe have it might be good, David, I don't know if you've had any conversations in the metro with your manager, Mel, but, I think we need to not just have an Urbandale conversation. Obviously, I think we need to be part of it, but I think maybe have some sort of a coordinated conversation that we have across the metro, since they are used across the metro too. So.
Yeah, and there have been a number of discussions, among the managers. And I think a lot of these questions came out a little earlier in some of the other jurisdictions, and they've been wrestled to the ground there. And so, just from a timing standpoint, I'm not familiar with what got referenced today, but certainly I'll reach out to Chief Johansson in the morning, and we'll look into it. And we're also had legal counsel review that one provision of the contract, and we're going to have some additional conversations to see what our options are in terms of, is there an opportunity to strengthen that? The information that we have from them, it satisfies us because, from a police chief standpoint, he knows how it works mechanically, and I think part of the challenge is getting the technical information out, and so we're still working on getting the portal, the public portal put together. But we certainly have a conversation with Flock. But I think the key piece of information is that there is no sharing. There's no sharing of any of that information without the police department's explicit approval. That's ever happened in Urbandale or ever been asked to happen in Urbandale. And so, but if there are things we can do to strengthen the agreement, we'll certainly look at that and see if there's an opportunity.
I mean, I have full confidence in our police department, but, in relation to what Jane said about Coralville, which I'd not heard anything about, I mean, I have a significant concern related to the impacts of the Attorney General inquiring, or I'd like to know more about that.
That was the first that I've heard of that. And so we'll, just like we have the other 2 or 3 times, we'll follow up on that and see if we can learn more.
The reporting on that is that the state attorney general sent a letter to Coralville saying that you have a policy that violates state law. Their policy probably was never going to be triggered. Who knows? The issue wasn't that immigration enforcement was getting data. It was that Coralville put in place a policy that said if they ever wanted our data, we would tell them no. And the Attorney General, according to the reporting, told them you can't have that policy. So
there's an Iowa Public Radio report that actually has some reference to the language of the letter. And it's referencing Iowa Code Chapter 27A, that you have under state law to cooperate with federal authorities regarding immigration law, which makes me wonder why we have some of these bills at the legislature around cooperation, that we're going to have to cooperate. So I find it all very confusing and frustrating. And it would be really nice to understand fully what is and is not in the contract, and the timing of the contract, and what our out opportunities are, and our renegotiation opportunities, and that kind of thing.
Well, I've looked at
suspension.
I've looked at section 5.3, and I know Maria's going to be looking at it too if she hasn't already. It does say that, as I understand it, that during the retention period, which is only 30 days, that the vendor does have the contractual ability to retain data beyond the retention period if they receive compulsory legal process, so a judicial warrant, a subpoena, or if they have a good faith belief that it's required to comply in the future. And so there's a little bit of wiggle room there. And my only what I would like to see is transparency. I just want to know if Flock receives that kind of legal process, or if they develop or form a good faith belief that they have to do it, that they should have to tell us. So we should be able to see if they are doing any of the things that they have a contractual right to do under that section 5.3. I'm not saying we would have a veto right or anything like that. I just want to be able to see what's happening. And so, you know, if they're invoking section 5.3 and retaining data beyond the 30 days, they should have to disclose that to us.
Yes.
And then we can see, you know, over time whether there is any kind of issue. And right now we don't know.
Yeah.
And I think based on some of the conversation, or like some of the memo that we've received, right, like the mass, like the search function within like the Flock technology is something that is restricted based on request, and you would have to be part of the system in order to initiate such a search request, and federal authorities are not
And
part
it has to
of
be
that system.
authorized by the owner of the data and
Right.
the owner of the system.
So I think there's probably a distinction there, that like there's the system search functionality where, you know, we're like, oh, we're just going to start checking things, versus like a full, like, this is a warrant for a request for a specific piece of data for something like that. I think that's probably maybe where there's some blurriness in the conversation, is my understanding.
Well, that's all I had, so thanks everybody for jumping in there, but that's all I got.
All right. Pat?
I'm sending out that article. There you go. So I was going to bring that up myself, so thanks for bringing that up. I think it's really important. February 13th, I got to play Mayor Pro Tem and do the Rebath grand opening, and that was really exciting for me because we have 2 bathrooms to redo, so that was a really great time. And then just a couple of quick dates for you. On April 14th, ICON is going to be doing a board tour downtown of the sites downtown, and we're allowed to invite a couple of folks. So if anybody on the council would like to go with me on that, it'll be the morning of April 14th, kind of early. I'm thinking like 8 a.m. it is, something like that. It's a Tuesday morning, I think. Oh, it's a MAC meeting morning, of course. I've brought that up to them multiple times. And okay. Well, if there's anybody not doing the MAC thing who would like to go, I think we meet at...
Amy and me. So.
Let me, pardon?
I said it's just Amy and me. So.
Okay. If anybody would like to go, let me know, and I'll get you an invitation. It would be nice to have somebody else besides me go, if possible. And then, also ICON-related, is on June 10th, with a backup date for rain on June 11th, is the Iconic River Festival. I think it's going to be held in Waterworks Park, but we'll be having, I think, activities out here. Is that right, Jan? Thumbs up. And I'm supposed to lead some kind of a team. I don't know anything about that yet, but...
What date was that again?
That's June 10th with a backup date of June 11th.
Time of day?
That'll be a day thing. Like, I think it's like in the morning you do the cleanup work and then there's lunch and a party or something. That kind of thing. Iconic River Fest.
So we'll have cleanup out here?
Yeah, we'll be doing something out here. I'm not sure yet what Jan's got in mind. We're not making good eye contact yet. So to be determined, yes, that's to be determined, but those are the dates. The rain date is the 11th, immediately following. And then just reminding people of, I want to say May 7th is the Sustainability Fair at the library, which also will be in partnership with the Walnut Creek Watershed Management Authority Waterfest kind of thing. I want to say that's May 7th, but it might be May 9th.
May 7th, 5 to 8.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Pat. Amy?
Sure. I'm just like, where did I put it? So tomorrow I will be going to the Focus open house. Focus is a new mental health crisis observation center for youth over on it's on Southwest 9th. So their open house is tomorrow morning. This is pretty amazing, and I think Polk County is the only state, or the only county in Iowa that has this. You may or may not be aware, but we have no mental health system for young people in the state of Iowa, so to have this sort of service is pretty remarkable, and it will tie in really well with some other crisis observation resources that we have in the metro for families, but excited to see this launch. And I'm sure, I hope I will see our CIT folks there. I assume I will. I'm knitting with Bridget, I think, tomorrow as well at the library, so.
We are taking advantage of adult programming at the library from 1:30 to 3, I think. We're learning to knit with the
Something
Des
like
Moines
that.
Knitting Guild.
We will take photos.
All right.
Otherwise, I don't believe I have anything significant. Representative McBurney has his forum from 12 to 2 on Saturday at the library. That's all I got, I think.
All right. Joe?
Yeah, I think I've talked about most of what I want to talk about. I was, the mayor recommended that I be appointed to his seat on the Housing Solutions Alliance Board. And that first meeting was last week. Good meeting. Urbandale gets a lot of love from that group for the affordable housing work that we're doing. People are well aware of it. And next meeting's in March, so I look forward to sort of just getting my feet under me and figure out what they're all about. But it's a good board.
Cool.
So I appreciate that
Well,
appointment.
thank you for doing that.
And then I was a wrestler, and the Urbandale High School wrestlers sent 8 or 9 of their kids to the state tournament, and so I want to congratulate them. It's a dangerous time of year to be doing that because I'm probably missing someone who's done something wonderful at Waukee Northwest, which
Well,
seems to win state
The
titles.
combined Raccoon River
Yeah.
Valley, or I don't know what but
They won
it's
state.
Waukee, Northwest, Van Meter, and Adele won the state girls wrestling championship in impressive fashion. So
Yeah,
now
kudos to
it's-
them.
Now it's the boys' turn. So I think Urbandale residents are well represented from east to west and north to south.
And in the Urbandale girls wrestling as well, we took
Oh.
4th on the girls' side for individual player.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I
One
knew
other
that I knew that Raccoon River had won the championship, but I hadn't followed that part.
And it was a
so
sophomore.
That's awesome. That's all I've got.
All right. Thanks, Joe. I just have a few things as well. First of all, I did my taping of Mayors Around the Metro for WHO last week. It is not yet, I just looked, I don't think it's dropped yet. They've dropped a couple more, it didn't drop mine yet. So I'll let you-
Please advise.
I will. So
We're
I
going to
gave-
have so much fun with that.
It was fun to do. I was invariably forgot a couple things I wanted to talk about, but I think we covered a lot of ground in the 15 or so minutes that we had the interview. Also, Bridget, thanks for bringing up that cancer article, but the Register posted. And I think I forwarded an email from Julie Hansen, and I've actually had some correspondence with her today. She wrote the article, author of the article, and he did reply back, but it looked like it's kind of a sensationalized opening line that Urbandale is 100 times more likely to get breast cancer. But if you look at the data, there are, it's not just Urbandale. There are a number of cities that have the same incidence rate that we would have. And if you spend a little time with that website, it's kind of interesting to see some of that information. But I asked her actually to help me maybe ghostwrite something that we can reply back with. So it's not such a sensationalized type of article. It singles out Urbandale with the rest of the state. So.
I did notice that the Register changed the headline from this. I sent a screenshot and then I sent the link to the article. The screenshot was terrifying, Urbandale, led with Urbandale. But later when I sent the link, it did not lead with Urbandale.
Oh,
so
good.
I think they
Good.
pulled back a little bit on the
Good.
sensational headline. But, my takeaway was still that in 50323, I have
Yeah.
times more likely of a chance to get breast cancer than my family in Fort Dodge.
And I saw in the message that you sent that the data was actually for colorectal and not.
Well, that's what he tried to counter with, but no, I think maybe she had, I don't know. I'm going to sort it out with her as far as trying to get some full information, yeah.
I mean, still not great, but.
I mean, if you, like I said, if you play around and look at the different
Yeah.
types of cancer and where it's interesting to actually to click on the different ones and see how it shifts around in the state. The brown parts of it are like the heaviest concentration. So it seems like the metro areas does have higher incidence of some cancers, but then some other areas of the state have more higher areas of incidence for different types of cancers. So.
And now they need to GIS overlay that with social determinants of health, and
Yeah.
then they might be able to get somewhere. But
So anyway, stay tuned on that. We're going to maybe get something out on that as far as some social media on that. The only other thing I had is we had Milog last week. We had the Iowa League of Cities there. Talked about all the bills that were in play, but primarily talked about property tax. And, again, this is the first funnel week, so the concentration and the attention of the legislators are on just getting through the first funnel. Obviously, property tax is funnel proof, so they don't need to work on that today, so this week. So they're not going to see any action on property tax till at least next week or beyond. But if they want to get out of there on time, they're going to want to take it up fairly soon. They've got a number of big issues if they want to get out and get on the campaign trail by late April. So we'll stay tuned on that. So that's all I've got.
one other quick thing, if you don't end up reading your cityscape, if you could hand it over to me, because my mother-in-law is very proud of the Lakeview Community Center being on the front page.
I want to read it, but I'll get it to you afterwards.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And just for the record, I am not planning to go to DC this year. So whoever the 5 of you are going, I will not be there. So.
That's like the first time in 25 years, right?
Well, no, I skipped in 2021 because I had COVID in 21. So skipped or 22. I can't remember. I can't remember. There's one year I had COVID after that. But I will miss it because I will be nursing a new knee at that point. So also be kind to Pat on May 19 because she'll be running that meeting as well. So.
Speaking of League of Cities, I saw an email and I just looked at my calendar. There's a save the date on March 4th for
Local Leaders Day.
Day. Do we have any more information on that?
We can probably, I don't know if we've seen anything come in, but we can get it. Normally they have some sort of organization at the Embassy Suites or something, and some opening remarks, and then go up to the Hill, and then you can just, I don't know, I haven't seen any specific plans for this year, so.
Yeah, last year they had a couple of sessions in the morning, I think at the Historical Center, actually.
Okay.
And then and then you, like, basically, post-lunch, you can just hoof it up to the Capitol. It's kind of free form.
Yep. So, with that, if there's nothing further, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.